Picture this. You're 18 years old, you're getting ready to go off to college, and you realize you have some secret that you need to take care of, and you have nobody to trust. So you let someone know, hey, I think I could use a therapist. So your parents find a therapist for you, and you show up at the office and you start the session off talking about your anxiety. Now, this is actually someone that was needing a lot of extra support and was so ashamed and felt so guilty about their behavior. And I just remember sitting there watching his face as he was telling me about his anxiety, that it was probably one of the worst cases of anxiety, sitting there watching him because he was squirming in his seat. He changed the color, like the color left his face. It looked like he was having problems breathing. There were so many things going on for this individual because I'm the type of person that'll read your body language. I want to be able to check and see, is there anything I can do to support you? And when I was watching that, I just thought there's something more going on here. And after a while of talking about ways to help with addiction, I think that the trust level went up because all of a sudden he blurted out, I have a problem with addiction. I watch porn all the time and I can't seem to stop. And he just looked like a balloon that deflated. He just was like, took a deep breath and couldn't make eye contact. And I remember looking at him and thinking, what a horrible way to have your beginning of life sex life, actually. So I asked him a few more questions and he was crying, and his response was, I'm going off to college. I have a lot of anxiety. It keeps getting worse. And I just can't stop this. What am I supposed to do up there? And when he talked a little bit more about the problem, he started going into his family dynamics. And the part that was most upsetting to him was the fact that his family was very strong in their church. They were part of the leadership, and he was also actively serving in the church. And he just kept saying he was a sinner and that he was fake, and he was no longer seeing himself as a person that was fit enough to participate in anything that had to go with the church, even though he had a strong belief in God. He just kept thinking about how disappointing it would be for his parents if they were ever to find out what he was doing. And I just helped normalize for him. For a lot of people that use pornography as a way of getting a release for themselves, that's their self-soothing technique. They've, one, gotten used to the constant positive reinforcement that comes from using pornography. And then the next part is that it becomes your only activity, or it's caused you to drop out of a lot of different parts of your life, whether it's participation in family activities, whether it's no longer relationships with friends. There's so many things that change for that individual, and there's a lot of isolation because you're spending a lot of your time trying to figure out how you get access to your favorite activity. So I listened to him for a little while. I normalized that what he was going through is what a lot of teenagers go through. And I continued to give him support regarding anxiety, because if he could learn to control his emotional stress, maybe this would be one of those inward kind of lines of ways of going in and helping to give him alternative things to do when he's stressed out. So, we learned things like deep breathing. He did a lot of journaling. He actually made sure that he exercised every day to try to reduce the effects of anxiety. And he started becoming involved in his peer support system. So all of those things were important for him. And when he started becoming more involved in that, he was able to come back for one additional therapy session before he went off to college. And then he came back at winter break and made another appointment and talked about the fact that he had been making changes. And even more than that, the changes were not just him alone. He said that he actually shared with some of his friends what his problem was, and he found other young Christian men who were also struggling with porn addiction. And he made it his mission to reach out and to share that things could be different and that changes could happen. Oh, I just wanted to say that this young man made it his personal mission to try to support as many other males that were struggling with this type of addiction. And his goal was to put an end to the shame and the guilt and the anxiety that he had been experiencing. He wants to do the same thing for these other young men. So it was very impactful for me to have him come into my office, and I will always remember him just because of that severe anxiety over something like porn. And he is not the first, and he's certainly not the last individual that I worked with regarding that. But I will say that the people that are coming into my office are getting younger and younger. But that's a different, probably, video. Thank you.